On today's DNVR Broncos show, we're talking about Sean Payton's interesting comments after the game, which he just doubled down on. Was this not Bo Nix's fault and everyone else needs to play better? We're breaking it down starting now. Let's start this show off with some good news, some surprising news about Bo Nix. But before we get into that, let me welcome you into the DNVR Broncos Podcast, presented by our friends over at Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 if you want to get in on any action, specifically tonight's Monday Night Football, the first night of Monday Night Football. And of course, we're coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge here inside the DNVR Bar, where I've got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis. I've got Henry Chisholm. I got you here behind the camera. And yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you. Little fun fact here. Guess who was, according to Next Gen Stats, guess who was the fastest non-wide receiver in the entire NFL on Sunday? Who hit the top speed? I think Henry's already seen this.
Yep,
so, Todd, I want to ask you.
Was it Bo Nix?
It's Bo Nix. Not just on the Broncos, not just in Seattle for that game, in the entire NFL. Bo Nix hit 20.05 miles an hour on his 23-yard run in the fourth quarter. Don't sleep on Bo's speed.
No, he got some speed. That's definitely good news, but I don't know if it's because he was running for his life or no, but I think that his speed is something that is different for the Broncos that we haven't had at quarterback. So no, you can't sleep on him. I think he can do it, through the air or on the ground. So he's fast, man.
And I guess that kind of points to why it's not the biggest surprise that Bo led the team in rushing for the Broncos yesterday. And I think Sean Payton has a big problem with that. He says the kid can't do it all. And before we dive into Sean's comments, after you've taken about 18 hours to digest the game, how do you feel about it now? Same as you felt yesterday? Better, worse, different?
I think about the same. I think I understand that he's a rookie quarterback and that he's not perfect and he's going to make mistakes until he gets all the way right. I do understand what Sean is saying. There were drop passes. There were missed assignments. And when you have a rookie quarterback, you can't have that if you want him to be successful. And then also, we're not going to blame the rookie game one. I mean, he's just getting started. Everybody has to hold or carry a little bit extra weight right now until he's the man and really can command the show.
Yep.
Yeah, same. It's just going to be a bit of a long season. It doesn't mean it's not going to be fun in some ways, but this is something we talked about a little bit in the offseason or even the end of last season. Rookie quarterbacks aren't fun. Like, there's this thought that, like, rookie quarterbacks, you just bring them in, it's like, oh, this is going to be a great time. Typically, it's not fun. Like, you look at last year, eventually C.J. Stroud figured it out. It put up 9 points week one. Like, it was a real grind all the way through. And I think over the past few months, everybody's kind of gotten excited about the season and maybe just a little bit too excited because we found out yesterday that this is just, it's a work in progress, and it's going to be a while before you get really good, consistent football in Denver.
Yeah, and I think Sean will agree with you, Henry, to some extent, but then say you're pointing the finger at the wrong guy. I mean, you said when you have a rookie in town, it kind of makes things tough, and you have to go on an upward trajectory, and it's not fun when you have a rookie in town. Sean would say, don't say that because we have a rookie here. Say it because of everyone else. And what I'm talking about is Sean's post-game comments yesterday, and we just got off a Zoom press conference with Sean literally like 10 minutes ago, and he echoed the exact same thing that he said last night after the game. So let's just hear some comments from Sean. Let's start with "We have to be better around him" clip.
Is that what they were saying?
I think so. Just what did you see from him tonight? And
I thought he was into it. I never felt like it was too big or confusing. He was sharp, and I thought he actually extended some plays with his feet. And again, we'll look at the tape, but we have to be better around him.
And I'll say he quickly pointed there to he made some plays with his feet. When he was asked about Bo's performance today, that was the first thing he pointed to again. He said, I was really impressed with some off-platform throws that Bo made, the ability to extend plays with his feet, like he said there. And I think that in one hand, he's giving credit to Bo, but in another hand, he's pointing at the protection right there, which he called average at best yesterday. Is that how you saw the game, Todd?
I felt like there was I think Bo had a little bit more time than, maybe we're giving the O-line credit for right now. There was a couple times I was like, just stop running, just chill.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I think just because it's his first game, not antsy, I wouldn't call it, but he's ready to make a play. So I think there were times that he had more time than he thought he did. I did see the pocket kind of collapse, and he did, scramble and make things happen with his feet. But I don't think it was like terrible protection all game. I didn't feel like he was just getting attacked from left and right and had to, scramble to get out of trouble. Felt like protection was, pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, I think average is fair. Like, that's a pretty standard. Maybe when you're going up against the Seahawks, you expect a little bit better.
Especially without their top pass rusher.
Exactly. Like, if you get the same performance, if there's the same amount of pressure when you play the Steelers this weekend, well, then it was probably a great day because they've got TJ Watt, who basically single-handedly won the Steelers the game last week. So, yeah, I'd say he didn't look all that pressured to me. A couple guys got through, but that's just going to happen. And I agree. Like, he was getting out of the pocket, and we talked about this during the game, when you see, like, Mahomes or CJ Stroud, there was one play yesterday. You roll out of the pocket, but you don't just have to go full-on sprint to the sideline and run yourself out of room. Like, hang there. Take a second. See if anything develops. And I think that there was just a few things that were rushed, which is to be expected in the first game.
Yeah, like the least surprising thing for a rookie to be rushing things. And I do agree with you guys. I think Sean is pretty hard on the offensive line for this game plan. But he didn't stop there. He pointed to the rushing attack as well. You hear, let's dial up the rushing has to be better. Or the other clip. It's whatever.
I don't know how many balls we dropped. And so I've said this before, for any quarterback playing, we've got to be more effective running the football. We'll see the rushing. If you take away his scrambling yards, I think we're like somewhere 60 yards rushing to their 140. So not nearly good enough.
You see that
the running game certainly was not nearly good enough. We kind of give some pushback on the pass protection. I'm right with Sean here. The Broncos had 99 rushing yards yesterday. Not the best, not the worst, but Bo Nix was your leading rusher. He had 35 of those yards, and of course, 23 of them came on that very fast run that he had in the fourth quarter there. So your running backs not just combine for, what would that be, 64 rushing yards, but they combine for your starter averages 2.9 yards per attempt. Your backup, Jaleel, who got actually more carries than Javonte, averages 2.7 yards per attempt, and then Estimate averages 7 yards per attempt. But that includes a 12-yard run in which he fumbled on. That is nowhere close to being good enough, and that doesn't just point to the running backs. It points to the offensive line, and it also points to the play calls as well.
Yeah, that's one area where I feel like the team struggled as a whole. I did not like the way that the O-line blocked in the running game. I didn't love some of the concepts that we had. Jaleel, where he was getting the ball, I felt like he was 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and the defense was hunting and tackling him right when he got the ball. A lot of the runs Javonte had, I know he averaged 2.9 a carry, but he was getting hit at -2 yards and trying to get to 2 yards. So I didn't feel like it was a cohesive or a good day for the offensive line as far as run blocking. And not that it was like telegraphed, but it felt like you could tell when we were running the ball versus when we were passing the ball. So they were in very run heavy stop defenses. When you get the run, it's hard to execute against defenses that are prepared to stop the run when you're running the ball.
Yep. And we talked about this in the preseason. I guess I keep forgetting Todd wasn't here for any of that. But the Broncos, when Bo Nix was on the field in the preseason, never called just an under center drop back pass. Not one. Like, they had play action passes, and they obviously ran from under center, but they never just had like a straight drop back from under center. And you wonder...
Really quick, talk about what you mean, because every other time you've brought that up in the preseason, people say, no, he did. He snapped the ball under center and still threw the ball. No, you're talking about something different.
No, they did play action. They ran the ball, but they didn't have just a straight drop back pass.
So when he just goes straight back
and
doesn't move left or right. Yeah, I'm just trying to explain because I'm sure you're going to get some pushback.
Even like he did move left, he did move right. Just literally just every single time he threw the ball or they called one of those plays, it was with a fake handoff in there.
Right.
And if there's any pushback, they're wrong.
No, I'm saying people are just going to say, no, he did throw the ball under center. And so I just wanted you to explain further.
Yeah. But he did with play action. There was never a straight drop back. And if you're the Seahawks, you know that coming in. Like you know that if they're going to throw the ball, it's going to take at least a couple seconds for, the play action to happen, and then you figure out what's happening downfield. I wonder if they realized that was going on. I need to go back and see if there were any just straight dropbacks. There might have been. But yeah, whenever they were under center, it felt like it was a run. It felt like the Seahawks knew it was a run, and there was just nowhere you could go with it.
Sean gave a little bit of pushback to that, too, today, this morning when we talked to him, because I believe Troy Rank asked him, like, is it too much of a give? And Sean said no. So it is going to be interesting because, as Sean also admitted, which is kind of wild, he said the Steelers are a better defense than the Seahawks. He flat out said that today in the press conference, which is pretty wild for a team that just beat you to say. He said no disrespect to the Seahawks, and then he pointed to the Steelers' experience, especially, when you think of the Steelers, you think of, like, having 4 coaches in their entire franchise history, and then you think of good defense. And so that's kind of what Sean was pointing to. But Mike Tomlin knows how to coach defense, and he's going to have that defense ready to go, and he's going to pick up on things like that. So that's going to be a key there. And Sean also pointed to the wide receivers, and I want to get into that clip and what you guys thought of the wide receivers after I give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, where Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. And what's really cool about Game Time Picks is it makes it easier to get your tickets to your favorite sporting event. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Yahir's got, which game is this pulled up, Yahir?
It's Chicago. It's just an example.
Okay, this is an example that we've got pulled up of a Chicago Bears game, and I love the interface of Game Time. Whether you're on your app or whether you're on their website over at gametime.co, it makes it so simple to find the best tickets. They've also got flash deals that are going on that you can see on the screen. And then one of the cool things is you click on a ticket and you can see the exact view that you're going to have, so there's no surprises. And one of the things that makes Game Time great is there's no surprises. You can do the all-in feature, which includes all the fees into your purchase, so you don't get to check out and there's an extra $100 added in fees. You know exactly how much you're going to pay when you're looking for tickets. So use the code DNVR to get $20 off your first purchase, whether over at gametime.co or on their app, and make sure to download their app for the best experience. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use that code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
Boom.
Shout out to our friends over at UC Health and their Ready, Set, Go challenge. It's very important to get out there, be active, and get your heart rate up. But it's also very important to take time for yourself, be mindful, and take a moment to chill and relax. So Coach Brian wants to help you and other Coloradians be your healthiest selves as the Chief Motivation Officer of UC Health's Ready, Set, Go challenge. The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. Part of the challenge is mindfulness. So Mindfulness Prime is here to encourage us to chill. Whatever that means for you, music, meditation, connecting with nature, painting, yoga. Take 20 minutes a day to disconnect from life and connect with yourself. This is so important. I meditate every morning just to get my mind right. A very stressful work environment, so it's important.
Wow.
I got crazy people I got to work with every. No, I'm just playing. I love these guys to death. But it's important to take time for yourself and just be mindful and present and disconnect. So if you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Go challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Go.
Boom. And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 if you want to get in on any action over at Bet365. Okay, Sean Payton wasn't done calling people out. And let's get the final clip here. You hear where he points to the receivers and actually gave us some insight on something that went on during the game because he was not happy with the way the receivers are playing.
Like I said, we'll watch the tape, but he gave us a chance. Our protection was average at best. And I just think, and I believe this, that we have to, at one point in the game, I came to the bench and talked to the receivers and said, let's go. I don't know how many drops we had, but man, let's help this guy. So
I just can't believe still the difference in Sean and the way he's defending Bo and the opposite of last year with Russell Wilson. It shows how much he truly believes in him, because I swear we would have similar situations. And Sean literally after the Texans game last year pointed to Russ's play at the very end of the game and said that play was chaos. We called it chaos because it was so chaotic at the line of scrimmage after the ball was snapped. And he was pointing directly at Russell Wilson. Now he's saying Bo's stat line, which was not pretty at all. He's pointing to the running backs. He's pointing to the offensive line. He's pointing at the receivers. And before I ask you, is he right about that? Let's just talk about the wide receivers. When you go back, Henry, and look at this, what did you think of the receivers' performance?
I haven't had a chance to go back, but in watching it, they were not good. Across the board, they were not good. Really, nobody was any good. Even Jaleel caught 5 passes, picks up 1 yard on those 5 catches.
That is wild.
Oh, yeah. You just really can't find anybody, even Greg Dulcich, none of the tight ends. Nobody had a good game as a receiver.
I disagree. I think one guy had a good game. Not an amazing game. I thought Vele, as a rookie, you go out there, you're targeted 8 times. You catch 8 passes. Now, it only goes for 39 yards in total. That's not a great yards per catch average. But from a rookie, what did we want him to be? At least, what did I want him to be? The Tim Patrick replacement. Was Tim Patrick going out there and shaking defenders every time he caught the ball and going for 100 yards consistently? No. But what was he doing consistently? Catching the ball and being Mr. Reliable. And when you threw it his way, he was going to catch it and pick up the yards that you threw for at least. And that's what that's what Devon Vele did. And especially for a rookie, I think he had a good game not being a rookie, but especially being a rookie, I was really impressed with him, especially because that was not the case. I feel like every other receiver that was thrown to, not running back or tight end, but receiver, dropped a pass that was catchable. Not Devon, though.
No, I think when you're targeted, you got to come down with the football. So, that's good on his part. I won't say it's a good game because it's just there's not much production there. I like that he caught all the balls thrown his way, and I like that he was in the right space, but I just don't know if that was a good game for me.
Really?
I agree.
Yeah.
8 catches on 8 targets?
The thing is, they were just force feeding him the ball. It's all just this little stuff, little screens, little stuff. It's good that he caught all those passes, but it's not. He didn't catch a ball more than 5 yards downfield. It's all just right there.
I think Vele's going to be good.
Me too. And for a 7th rounder, you're excited.
Did we reward a running back for having 8 carries and not fumbling the ball 8 times?
I think that's different because, when you're a running back, you're just literally given the ball. Catching the ball, I think, is more difficult than just accepting a handoff.
But that's your job.
Well then, let me point it to this. What Henry said, they were force feeding. No. Let me point it to what Henry said about they were force feeding the ball. They were force feeding Courtland Sutton the ball. He got 12 targets, only came away with 4 catches there. So if Courtland Sutton had 12 catches on 12 targets for 55 yards, it'd be like, dang. He could have done more with those. He could have broken plays, but 12 catches on 12 targets, very impressive. They're really force feeding him for a rookie. And not even for a rookie. 8 catches on 8 targets. I'm gonna disagree with you guys.
So
I thought Vele had a good game.
The difference between those to me is that Court was getting open downfield, and they were throwing those to him. So Vele, 2 of these are screens. One he lines up in basically as a tight end, just a quick little flare. There's another one that's pretty close. I don't think of it force feeding when you're throwing it to a guy who's downfield. To me, force feeding is, we're throwing this ball to the guy at the line of scrimmage and seeing if he makes something happen. And he did one time. It wasn't a bad game, but I just don't come away saying like, what a great performance. It's exciting because he is a 7th-round rookie and he looks like there might be something there. But again, like you gave him the ball at the line of scrimmage a few times and he picked up a few yards. Like
Yeah, there's promise there. I think my problem with all the wide receivers, and maybe it's just because of the scheme, is there was no yak. There was no run after the catch. Like, as soon as they caught the ball, they were going down right there. And me and Henry, we talked about it many times. It felt like it was a lot of 4-yard passes where 4 yards is where the ball was caught, and that's all you got.
Yep.
I think Vele did have the one missed tackle or calls the person to miss and then create some extra yardage. So, like I said, I think there's a lot of promise there for Vele, and I think he had a good game. He had a good game.
Well, if everyone did what Vele did, Bo Nix's numbers would have been a lot better. There would have been a lot more first downs than the Broncos had. You take away Vele's catches, Bo Nix was a 50% passer. So I think that shows how important Vele was in the game for Bo to not look nearly as bad as the numbers would have looked. I mean, he would have had 99 passing yards and a 50% completion. And we're talking about, when you look at the stat sheet, 26 of 42, 138 yards, 2 picks, 47.5 passer rating. That's really tough already. You take away Vele, and whew, that is not a world I want to be living in, because it's already tough. And I just thought, I totally agree with you, though, Todd. I mean, where it is the receivers as a group, and including running backs, including Greg Dulcich, did absolutely nothing. And Sean Payton, speaking of force feeding, tried to force feed Jaleel the ball, especially in the passing game. You got to do, and it's not all on him. The blocking has to be better. I think the play design and the time that you call certain plays has to be better, because like you said, it was pretty obvious when certain runs were happening. I think it was obvious, or it was also got pretty obvious to Mike McDonald's defense when they were doing screens, and they did tons of them. They can't be as predictable. So I think this is not just pointing at the playmakers themselves, but everyone involved in this. It has to be better. And one of the things, though, is this shouldn't be a surprise that the Broncos don't have guys, don't have playmakers. When they get the ball in their hands, they make plays after, specifically in the receiver group. I think that we're hoping Greg Dulcich was going to be that, and we certainly saw flashes of it in training camp, where he would catch the ball, turn upfield, and just blaze by defenders. And it's like, that's the yards after the catch that we're looking for. When it comes to the running backs, Jaleel is the biggest hope there. I mean, the only hope for the Broncos right now, because Blake Watson is inactive for the very first game. Jaleel needs to be a playmaker for this team. I mean, he needs to be able to get the ball and be that joker. And when Sean Payton calls a player a joker, he's talking about Alvin Kamara. He needs to be like that for the Broncos. Obviously, maybe to not that extent where Alvin started his career with Sean Payton, 5 straight Pro Bowls, but something like that in terms of playmaker. But the receivers, it's no surprise that they don't have a guy that's going out there and making plays, especially after he catches the ball left and right. Courtland Sutton was excellent last year at making plays, but he was making plays in the end zone. He was making incredible catches in the end zone. He wasn't really turning that into yards after the catch. Probably the guy that was best at that last year was Jerry Jeudy on this team. Now, obviously, he didn't do it to the extent the Broncos hoped for and wanted when they used a first-round pick on him, but he was probably your best yards after the catch guy on the team last year. You moved on from him, and the hope was that it was going to be Marvin Mims. You know how many snaps Marvin Mims played? Henry, if you saw, don't ruin it, but if you haven't.
Oh, I know.
You know? You know how many snaps?
2.
He played 12. That was 17%. That is not what the Broncos were hoping for, at least 8 months ago from now, is not what they were hoping for. I think in training camp, they kind of understood that, okay, this is who Marvin Mims is, at least right now. Troy Franklin, obviously inactive. Those are your 2 guys that are going to do something after the catch. So how are you disappointed in the receivers or no?
Watching the game and, rewatching the film, I didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunity for them to make a lot of big plays. I mean, hats off to the Seahawks defense, because usually week 1, everybody misses tackles. Like, you haven't been tackling a lot, but I think they missed 1 tackle the entire game. Like, they were flying around and making plays and making good plays. I felt like we need a little bit more, like, opportunity for guys to go out there and get yards after a catch. You know, when you run an RPO and Vele has to sit down at 5, well, if they're in a press defense and then he sits down at 5, the guy's right behind him. So he catches it, tackle, all right, next play. There's not a lot of room for yards after a catch. I want to talk about Jaleel for a second and how they kind of like kept giving him the ball when he was in. I think part of it is like, hey, we need this guy to be successful. But long-term thought, I need every defense to feel like when he's on the field, he's getting the ball, because that's going to open up a lot of other avenues for me and a lot of other plays that I can run where he's the decoy and I can give it to other players. So it's like twofold, because I do need him to be great, but I also need him to I need to put together enough of a tail to be able to use that later on in the year.
So do you think that's what yesterday could have been?
A little bit. I think a little bit is. I think you got to play the long game. Like, you got to be able to play what you need right now, but you can't show your hand enough to show them everything you can do.
So then let me ask you, at what point does he change from being a guy who's getting the ball all the time to being a decoy? Because last year, he was the ultimate tell. When he was on the field, late in the year, he was getting the ball 80% of the time. It was some crazy tell where they were kind of doing what you're saying, like set it up, set it up, set it up. But at what time does it change from setting it up to, okay, now he's a decoy. Now let's use that.
I don't know. That's, at Sean's discretion, I think, is when they changed that. But for me, it would be somewhere around the time where we start having AFC West play. Like when we're playing, the Chiefs twice, we got to have some tells where they are changing defenses based off of when Jaleel's in the game. Okay, that's when we go to him being a decoy and we take a shot downfield to Courtland. Like, we do have him in there blocking, and he got to hold up for 3 seconds because we need him to, sustain this block. But I think that you just need a little bit more time. And then I think you can clean up the blocking so that we do have successful plays when he's in. He's not in there to get tackled behind the line of scrimmage at 5 yards just to create a tail for, 12 games from now. We do need him to be productive while he's in the game.
Yeah, you certainly need him to be productive, and you need Javonte to be productive. Like, I think a good offense has 3 players that scare you. You look in the division. I mean, the Chiefs always a great example. You got Kelsey in there, you got Pacheco in there, and then they're hoping one receiver pans out, and so then all of a sudden they're pretty scary. You feel like you're pulled in all these different directions. Right now, the Broncos just don't really have anybody, and so if Jaleel becomes somebody who scares you, all of a sudden you have something to work off of if they're all focused on him. But they just seem so far away. I mean, you asked, are we disappointed in the receivers? I'm disappointed in the receivers. I'm also kind of disappointed in myself for the past month, thinking like this wasn't going to be a group that looks like this, And it was a down game. Like, if Courtland brings in both of those catches that the ball hit his hands, then all of a sudden it's not so bad of a game for him. And if he's your number one, maybe you can find a way. Josh Reynolds had the big play, gave him 3 points before halftime. But this really is an offense where if you're a defense, you can just play whatever you want. Like, there's the Broncos, for example, this week. DK Metcalf's on the other side, so you have to put Pat Surtain on him. And so you have Pat following him into the slot, you have him outside, and all of a sudden you're not just playing like this base, simple defense. You're having to cater to what the offense does well. Other teams don't really have to think about what the Broncos do because there's just nothing that would scare you in any way.
So, Henry, I heard something when I was on the field yesterday after the game that kind of plays into what you're saying. And I want to know from both of you how concerning it is. And I want to dive into that conversation after I give a shout out to our friends over at Premier Members Credit Union. And did you know that most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now? And if you're one of them, which is pretty much all of us, you got to check out Premier Members Credit Union. They're a financial institution based right here in Colorado. With PMCU, you get local branches, friendly tellers, and the tools you need to save smarter, like a reverse tier money market. It's the account you need to get ahead and stay ahead in this economy. This is an organization that serves the community and the Colorado community in particular, which we're all about. Whatever your goals are, they can help. PMCU is all about creating a better banking experience for their community. So why not see what they can do for you? Check out becomepremier.com to learn more. That's becomepremier.com.
Also, check out Bet365. It's such a good day yesterday. I hit just about everything.
Were you on the dogs then?
I Oh yeah, I had Cardinals lost, but I had Cardinals money line, which looked good. I had the Patriots money line against the Bengals, Steelers money line, Fields rushing yards. There were like 3 others. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. Unfortunately, I put too much of that money back on the Broncos, who did not. Well, the spread moved. Did it get to 6.5?
At one point this week
At one point it was. I had 5.5, so I missed that one too, which stunk. But luckily, I took advantage, got some free bets from Bet365. I'm going to be working to get that money back tonight on this game. They give you 10,000 different boosts for every single month. They also have all sorts of different offers. There's an early payout offer for NFL games. So if a team goes up by 17, you get your money right there. You don't have to worry about whether they'll hold the lead or not. Download the app, use the code DNVR365, and you'll be able to deposit $10 and choose between either a bet and get offer, where you place a bet $5 or more and get $200 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer, where you place a bet up to $1,000, and if the qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund bonus bets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Speaking of never ordinary, when I was on the field yesterday after the game, a Seahawks reporter was given a report to his news station, and I walked by and heard what he said. And he said that inside the Seahawks locker room after the game, they said their defense, the Seahawks defense, was incredibly ordinary, and the Seahawks defenders were bragging about how they didn't have to show anything, and they still have so many cards in their pocket that they did not show that they can present to the Patriots next week when they play them. And to me, I thought, oh man, that's kind of that's a big insult right there. At least I thought, Todd, hearing that right away is like, yeah, when the other team is bragging about how they didn't have to really do any tricks and break anything out in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that shows you that they felt that they could be vanilla and still play very well and put together a good day. And ultimately, they had a phenomenal day as a defense. 2 picks, a lot of good plays. And, I mean, I guess they were right in some instances, but nobody wants to show everything week 1.
Sure.
So they wouldn't have done that anyway. But it is kind of like a slap in the face, if they felt like we don't have to show them anything. We go out there, be very vanilla. Back to Henry's point about, where Metcalf is and how Pat has to go lock him up so then you can play 10 on 10 with the rest of the field. Right now, I didn't see any safeties leaning one wide receiver's way or another. So they could put that safety in the box. And now they let the corners go one-on-one. There's an extra hat in the run game, so now it's tougher on us. And nobody's under any real stress. I think we got to find ways to put stress on defense. If they want to put Courtland Sutton one-on-one, okay, I don't care if we do one shot to the end zone, let Courtland go out, bring another wide receiver in, the same shot on the same sideline, on the same corner, so now he's tired. We have to find ways to put stress on defense.
So what happens if those shots don't work? Then does that make it even more scary? Because then the defense says, okay, now we don't need any help on these receivers, and we can just make it even. Because I'm just trying to think, why wouldn't?
I think they already feel like that,
and they should, because yesterday Bo Nix on passes 8 or more yards downfield, 8, not a big number, 2 of 13 with 2 interceptions. That's and this has kind of been the story for the past decade, really. Is that you can't test the defense deep, so they load the box, and so your running game isn't any good, and you just never beat them deep. And so, I mean, if you throw those and you don't complete them, well, you're already there. That's what they expect from you. You kind of have to prove them wrong, and until you do that, you're not really going to be able to run the ball that well either.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true, and I mean, we saw it early in the game yesterday. Bo Nix at one point in, I believe, the first quarter was averaging 1.5 yards per passing attempt. And the running backs were averaging 4.5 yards per attempt. So what did the Seahawks do? They said, okay, if this is going to be the case, then we're going to sell out completely on stopping the run. And then you saw the running backs average go from 4.5. By the end of the first, it was at 3.9. By halftime, it was mid-3s. And then by the end of the game, Jaleel averaged 2.9 yards per carry, and Javonte averaged 2.7 yards per carry. But I feel like what this kind of comes around to in a football perspective is, okay, the quarterback has to do more here in order to have that threat, in order to back up the defense. But what Sean's saying is, no, we need to help this guy out. It can't be more on the quarterback. So I feel like the Broncos are in a little bit of a catch-22 here.
I feel like something has to be better. That's what he's saying, I feel like. And I know Bo is going to get better. He's a rookie. With time, he's going to get better. But something has to change. If it's Bo Nix and he finds the spark to be able to make more plays downfield, that's great. But if it's the offensive line and now they're pushing people downfield and now we're averaging 4 yards a carry, then that's awesome too, because the run and the pass work together. And so if one's bad, the other one's probably not going to be not as good because they work together. So I think he's saying that for right now, I don't want to put the pressure on Bo to be that guy to kind of fix it and make the shots downfield. I want the O-line and the running backs to take pressure off of him. So if they start getting 4 yards a pop, okay, now that does change how defenses have to attack us and how they line up. Okay, now maybe Bo can start to find some of the holes downfield because they're open a little more because of how defenses are preparing for us.
Yeah, and I mean, this wasn't a particularly close game by NFL standards, but you were still just a couple inches away on the SWAT from having a chance to drive down the field in 2 minutes and try to win it, which does mean that, if the defense plays a little bit better, who knows? And it's tough to say they need to play better when they did all that they did, especially in the first half. If the running game plays a little bit better, is that enough? If the receivers play a little bit better, is that enough? And I get what he's saying. You don't ask the rookie to be the one who needs to be the one to step up. But certainly, again, 2 of 13 with 2 picks when he's throwing 8 or more yards downfield. That's not good. Like there is certainly room for growth from Bo Nix, and we all saw that. But yeah, if the running game does it, that's great. I think to fix the running game, you probably need to run Bo Nix more, and not just on those scrambles, but actually run some read options or run your quarterback power. Some of those things that we saw a little bit more of, I think, in the preseason, because like you said, there's the extra hat in the box because you can't test the defense deep. How do you neutralize that? Put another hat on the offensive side by using Bo Nix as a runner. And I think that that won't instantly solve everything, but it should help you out a little bit, at least add just a little bit more spice to the offense. So that'd be the first piece for me.
Yeah, I think getting Bo on the move is important, whether it's designed runs or whether it's just a lot more boots, because he is clearly a lot more comfortable just on the move right now, at least. And I think he can develop into being calmer in the pocket. But we saw him he looked jittery. And after the game, Sean Payton and Bo Nix both said that he wasn't jittery. I don't know if I fully buy that. I hope that's not the truth, because it's okay and normal for every player to have week 1 jitters. It's more than okay and understandable. And it's human nature for a rookie in his first NFL start to have jitters. So I really hope that wasn't the truth and that he did have those jitters, because that would explain a lot. And like Henry said, I probably need to put some blame on myself for just expecting Bo Nix to look like preseason Bo Nix. And I asked him after the game how different was preseason compared to regular season. He said it was faster. It was a lot different. So that's probably on all of us for not just realizing how different it was going to be. But let's get into the big question now. Is Sean Payton right that you really need to take a lot of pressure off Bo with how last night unfolded and put it on everyone else? Because we talked to Sean again this morning, and he was asked, last night you're pointing the finger at pretty much everyone but Bo. Do you agree with that after looking at the film? And he said yes. And of course you can take that as, he's going to defend his quarterback, his young rookie quarterback, at any and all costs so he doesn't get down on himself. Or you could think that, Sean, that's truly how he sees this. Do you agree with Sean?
I completely agree with Sean. I mean, you're talking about guys who have had plenty of games in the NFL and have made adjustments and had to get better over time and knows what it looks like to change something up in order to increase the probability of us winning the game. We're not going to ask Bo Nix to do that. He's never done that before. He's never made a change in order to help the team win or adjust the way he handles himself like in 1 week. I think most of the other guys, you talk about the offensive line, they've all done it. You talk about the wide receivers, most of them are veterans. Like, I would put the pressure on somebody else. Like even when I played defense as a linebacker, if we had a new defensive tackle in the game and he can't hold his gap, okay, I got to make him right. I'm not going to ask him to do something that he's not good at yet. I'm just going to cover for him. And then when he starts making his plays and gets better, then it'll be easier on both of us. But until that time comes, I got to help the team out, until I can pull this young guy along.
Yeah, I agree. For now, Sean is right. I mean, you just can't have drops. You know that there are going to be mistakes from Bo. You just live with it. You look over at New England, though. Jacoby Brissett, 15 to 24, 121 yards, 75 passer rating. His team played well enough that was enough. I like I said before, the Broncos could have won with Bo doing what he did if other guys stepped up and made plays. And for week one, maybe even this whole rookie season, you just can't ask Bo to be the guy to go and do that, or it's probably not going to work out. The flip side, though, just running through these scores, the Chiefs won. Why'd they win? Mahomes did the things that he did, extending plays. The Eagles won. Same thing. Jalen Hurts went out there and did what he did. Won him the game. The Josh Allen won the Bills the game. CJ Stroud made a bunch of plays that won Houston the game. You can keep going through this whole list. I didn't watch a Charger game. I'd imagine Justin Herbert was pretty good. Dallas wins. I would imagine Dak was pretty good. Eventually, you do need Bo Nix to be the guy who plays well and elevates everybody around him. You're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And you're going to see issues, and you just need the other guys to step up and not make mistakes. And then also make plus plays. You need Jaleel to break at least one of those catches for more than a handful of yards.
Henry, you're so right about that, except there is a massive difference with all of those guys outside of CJ Stroud that you mentioned. They're all on second contracts, paying them $50 million or more dollars, including now we have a $60 million quarterback in Dak Prescott. So when you say like Bo is a little bit away from that, he's very, very far away from that. In terms of like carrying your team. CJ Stroud's the only guy that you went through that's on a rookie deal still from like truly carrying his team. So
and CJ Stroud scored 9 points in his first game last year.
Yeah, exactly. And so I actually thought you guys were going to be putting more of this blame on Bo. I thought I was going to kind of be the outlier here, agreeing with Sean Payton. But if you want to look around the league, there's another example of nearly very similar quarterback play from a rookie, and his team won because his team around him did so much more. And I want to jump into that. Plus, I want to talk about the other side of the ball, which we haven't talked about, and I think this might be one area where we disagree. But I got to give a shout out to us really quick first here at DNVR. It's tailgate season. Ooh. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town this Sunday. Russ, is he playing? Is he not? Either way, the Broncos need a win. Now, this game's so important after dropping yesterday, and I think our tailgate is going to be lit. It's at Sports Fan in the back parking lot of Sports Fan, which overlooks the city, overlooks Empower Field. It's on 18th and Federal, and we can even have a party bus going on. So if you want to get in on that, you can as well. And how you get tickets to the tailgate and the bus leaving from DNVR, go to thednvr.com/events. We've got Primo Hoagies there. We've got Breck Brew and Breck Distillery. We've got yard games. We've got music. We got the best views of any tailgate. And you can even buy season passes for the tailgates right now. Make sure you're following us on social at DNVR_sports, or go to thednvr.com/events.
And Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey might be making an appearance. Ooh. I'm not going to make any promises because I'm not sure. In the past, it's been there.
Well, Breckenridge Distillery is Breckenridge Whiskey.
Yes.
And I just said they're going to be there.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I was looking
Make the
through
promise.
the stats.
Make the promise.
I'll make the promise.
Henry never listens to me.
Well, you never listen to me either. Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey
I played off so many of your comments today.
What? Sorry, I wasn't. What was that?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Todd, can you take care of him for me?
What does that mean? That sounds like a threat. There are two ways to take that. I don't like either. Okay. Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey will be at the tailgate on Sunday. You know what else is going to be at the tailgate?
What's that?
Me.
Oh.
And you.
Oh.
And not Todd, because he's doing the pregame and postgame shows. So
the best in the nation.
The best in the nation. Broncos Country, best in Broncos Country?
No, nation.
Okay, whole nation. Let's take it all.
He's challenging how good your show is.
Come on.
Okay,
Wow.
aim high. Why not?
You're just going after everyone now. Hey, can you go after you here too?
It's too easy. Look for the Breckenridge Bourbons. 2024 Broncos Bourbon Blends. They hit the shelves about a month ago, so hopefully you guys have had a chance to try those. It's the world's highest distillery. It's in Breckenridge, founded in 2008. And they're widely known for their blended bourbon whiskey, a high rye mash American-style whiskey. Breckenridge Bourbon is one of the most highly awarded craft bourbons in the U.S. Whole bunch of awards, all that sort of stuff. Check it out, and especially come check it out this weekend. If you're looking for tickets, you can actually enter to win 2 tickets to Denver Broncos games in the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite. Share how you celebrate the Broncos by posting your photos to social media using Broncos Bourbon, hashtag Broncos Bourbon, sorry. Also use code DNVR at checkout for free shipping on all orders over $99. Learn more at BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
So obviously when you look at Bo Nix's stat line, 26 of 42, 138 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns. He did have a rushing touchdown. Not ideal, not great. But I look over in Chicago, and I see that they won a game, 24-17. And you just look at that, and you're probably like, oh, Caleb, probably a pretty good debut. Maybe not incredible, 24 points, but still, solid debut. Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick in this draft, had a completion percentage less than 50%, 14 of 29. He threw, do you know how many yards he threw for?
Like 90-something. Right?
93 yards, not 193, 93. That is awful. Talk about just not doing anything in the passing game. No touchdowns, no interceptions, so that's better than Bo, 55.7 passer rating. His QBR, because Bo had the rushing touchdown, was actually lower than Bo Nix's QBR, which takes into a whole game, including sacks and rushing, touchdowns, yards, average, everything like that. Caleb Williams did nothing. The Bears said, you are going to, 29 passes isn't this, but the Bears said, don't worry, Caleb, rookie, we got your back. The running game actually really didn't do anything for him either. They had less than 100 rushing yards too, but it was their defense that said, we're going to pick Will Levis off twice. We're going to score a touchdown. Or did they even have 2, I think, rushing or special teams and defensive touchdowns themselves, I think? I know they had a pick 6, and they might have even had a touchdown in the return game.
I think they had a punt return.
So the rest of the team said, okay, young buck, we're gonna pick you up here. 93 yards isn't gonna get it done, but we're gonna get it done around you. And I think that's just a shining example. Is this sustainable for the Chicago Bears? No. That's not sustainable for the best defense in the NFL's history. That's not sustainable for you guys, although almost. You guys did that a lot in Super Bowl 50 run. But you can't do that week in and week out. At some point, Caleb's going to have to step up, but there are going to be games where he has rookie games, just like he did yesterday. And instead of losing, they stepped up and got the win. That's what the Broncos are going to have to get this season. And it's just going to be, do things line up right? When Bo has a good game, is it good enough to overcome the weaknesses of the rest of the Broncos? And are we going to need 2 touchdowns a game from non-offensive players in order to win? And if so, it's going to be a really tough formula to have.
Yeah, it is going to be tough. And, I really think the defense stood up for Bo yesterday minus 1 drive. I think they were 1 drive away from having a phenomenal game. A lot of times your goal is to get 1 turnover a game. The Broncos got 3 because both of those safeties are turnovers as well as the pick. So 3 turnovers and also 4 points. And then also we got 6 points off of field goals from the Broncos defense. 1 off of special teams and 1 off. So I think they did a lot. The team did a lot to help Bo. Yep. And I think if it wasn't for the stretch of 6 3-and-outs in the middle of the game, that kind of tired the defense out, put them back on the field. Defense got a couple 3-and-outs, but now we've been rocking and rolling. Linebackers are playing on special teams. I saw Jonathan Cooper running down on kickoff. Like, guys are now, that workload is getting heavier and heavier. Like, towards the end of the game is where we actually need more sustained drives, because that's when the defense will start to fall apart simply from being tired. And I think that's what we saw yesterday, is they stood up as best they could, but after playing so many snaps, they got tired.
And I think, if you just combine defense and special teams, there's a real chance that first half on Sunday is the best half of football they'll play all season. They didn't give up many points. Yeah. They forced the safeties. Like, there was so much going on. And to come out of that, what was it, 13-10 at halftime?
Yep.
13-9? It's 13-10?
Yeah, 13-9.
You should have been up by more. Like, the fact that you couldn't convert just one of those into a touchdown. If you take 1 field goal, turn it into a touchdown at 17-9, all of a sudden the game feels so different. If you come out at halftime and you're able to do something. But 7 3-and-outs, over the course of a game. You just can't have it because like what you said, that's just not sustainable for a defense. Like, it's so hard to get that many stops over and over and over and over. Like, each team had 14 drives, 15 drives in this game?
Yeah.
That's just such a big ask for a defense. Like, what you want is to go out there and just use your fastball, attack him right away, get a couple of run stuffs, get off the field fast, and just keep that momentum going. But you just can't carry momentum when you're just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth so many times.
I thought we were going to disagree on this, and here's where we disagree. I do disagree about the defense. First half, I think, is the word Sean Payton used today, outstanding. You can't be any better. The defense outscored the offense, essentially. They were responsible for 7 points because of Alex Singleton's interception, which the Broncos then didn't even get a first down after that. I'm giving all 3 of those points to the defense. Then the 2 safeties given to the defense as well. A little credit from special teams on Tremon Smith making an outstanding play.
A little credit to
down
Bo
him
Nix.
at the 1.
The interception at the 1 would.
Sure, yeah,
That helps, yeah.
I'm trying to give good credit out here.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But here's where I disagree. The defense was outstanding in the first half. It wasn't at the end of the game when they fell apart because the offense was doing nothing and the defense just got tired at the end of the fourth quarter. It was right out of halftime. And Todd, you said that one drive that you blame the defense for. I think it's 3, and I think it's 3 right out of the gate. Broncos gave up, so they came out 3 and out. Stinks. Defense gets the ball. They haven't been on the field in half an hour. They shouldn't really be tired. They give up a 6-play, 66-yard drive, which ends in a touchdown. The next play the defense has.
It would be nice, though, if they weren't able to start that drive at the 40. If the offense could just move the ball and flip the field, make them go an extra 20 yards. But, yeah, you still want
it
to
was
stop.
still a 66-yard touchdown drive that they gave up. I'm not killing them over giving up a 20-yard. They gave up, 2 first downs, and then they held them to a field goal. They gave up a touchdown drive.
Yeah.
The next drive, they give up a field goal, 37-yard drive. Then the next drive,
you start on the plus side of the field there.
37 yards. They allowed them to get in field goal range. And then the next drive, 6 plays, 80 yards, touchdown. That from the start of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, they gave up scoring drives on 3 straight drives. That's when the momentum was lost. And if you're getting tired after halftime of the very first game, I think that's a much bigger issue, which I'm not willing to go to yet because I think that would be very scary if you're already getting tired there. And in the first half, the defense played 25 snaps. That's not a lot. Now, it was broken up a lot because there were so many drives in there, but that you could say that's even more rest time on the sidelines potentially, or like more rest in between. So I don't want to go there of saying like, man, what else can the defense do? They had an abysmal third quarter. They gave up 149 yards in the third quarter. If you extend that into the fourth quarter on that touchdown drive, it was even more than that. And I think Alex Singleton put it perfectly after the game. He said, we started great and we finished great. But if we could have that third quarterback, and you can't
Zach Wilson?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And you can't be saying that every single game. And I'm not saying we are going to be saying that every single game, but you can't have 33% of a game because that third quarter extended into the beginning of the fourth quarter with that drive where you're just like, man, we did really good in 66%. No, if you want to be a winning team with a rookie quarterback, the receivers have to play well at 90% of the time. The defense has to come out and ball out 90% of the time. And then you do hope that Bo gets better from what he showed yesterday. But, man, I do disagree. I do think the defense deserves a decent amount of blame here.
I mean, they didn't have a good third quarter, and the offense didn't have a good 4 quarters. So I definitely hear what you're saying, but not once did the offense step up. I mean, you get 3 turnovers, and then also the pick that you can't turn into points. I think it's much more on the offensive side of the ball than it is on the defensive side of the ball. I think they gave you multiple chances, and as a defense, when you lose momentum, it's not always the defense lost it. The offense can lose it too. You come out and get 3 and out, that's losing the momentum right out the gate. You come out again and you fumble the ball. Okay, now we got to put plays together and give up 30 yards. 30 yards is not a lot to give up, but when you already put them in the middle of the field, now it leads to points, and you can blame that on us, sure, because we gave them up. But if you started it at a normal drive at the 20 and we gave up 30 yards, now they're punting. You know what I'm saying? It's very different when the offense can't create and I got to go and make up for it, it does make us look bad. And there were times that they missed tackles, and I think that the second long drive that scored points is the one where I feel like that's where the defense kind of gave the game up. But nevertheless, I think the only reason that the Broncos were even in this game is 10 points from the defense. Like, in all actuality, the Broncos should not have been in this game if the defense doesn't give them 10 points to play with.
For sure, yeah. And a lot's on the offense. But, I mean, they did still give up 26 points. And you look at where the turnovers the Broncos had, it's not like those led to points, and you're pointing directly at the Broncos offense for turning the ball over at their own 10-yard line. And then, okay, well, Geno Smith's in scoring range right now. They're at least going to get a field goal or a touchdown. No, their turnovers were, at the 1 and at the 10-yard line? So, again, not trying to put it all on the defense. No, but by no means. But in a 20-minute stretch of football, you give up 17 points. And I know one of them was a 37-yard drive. But still, if you want to take that away, which I don't know why you would because it was still points there, but that's 14 points, 2 touchdown drives in a 20-minute span of football. That's not acceptable. And it stinks because they played outstanding the rest of the game. Outstanding. 2 safeties, you got to be kidding me, shutting them down. But then when Kenneth Walker has 100 rushing yards by the end of the third quarter, it's like, man, when P.J. Locke gets shook by Geno Smith in the middle of the field and he runs for a 30-yard touchdown, it kills. So I do think, obviously, the majority of the blame goes on the offense. But if you want a successful season this year, if you want to get to 9-8, if you don't want to be anywhere close to those 5.5 win totals, it's really going to be a lot more on the defense. As unfair as it is, but you got a rookie quarterback. So
defense has to play perfect.
More.
I think it's hard. I
honestly.
mean, I think 21 points a game was our goal every week. I think, just maybe it's because of the offense we have, but if we can hold people to 21, then we usually put our team in a good position to win. 26 is not far from it. But to your point, I think the defense has to be perfect, and that's sad to say because there's no room for error. You can't, give up one run that leads to 30 yards down the field or give up one drive that ends up being a scoring drive. Like, it sucks. Yeah. And I've been there. I was there for many years. You got to play perfect, and that's just what it is right now.
Definitely. It just the defense needs to be one of the 5 best defenses in the NFL if this is going to work at all. And I think yesterday, overall, I think that they were very good. But there's, like you said, there's just that one little blip, and even in that blip, you just see the offense's fingerprints on it. With you give them the ball at the 39-yard line, and they go score a touchdown. That's gonna happen sometimes. That's just NFL football. You give them the ball at the 47 yards from the end zone, they give up a field goal. That's gonna happen sometimes. And then as soon as you give up the 80-yard backbreaker drive, like that's one that. This season, if you're giving up 80-yard touchdown drives, you're probably not going to win the game because the offense is not going to be able to keep that up.
And in between every single one of those drives, you're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Not much time to go and talk about what's happening.
Hey guys, you're back on the field. Defense is up. Oh damn.
Oh, I think we should try. Oh, go back on the field.
And
back on the
that's
field.
just where I disagree with you guys. Is it wasn't a little blip. It was 20 minutes of football. But we got super chats to hit. First one coming from Azteca, who says, going to Colorado to propose and see Broncos at Mile High for the first time. Can I convince Coach Todd to sign a trading card for my future father-in-law?
Absolutely, man. If you get down here to the DNVR Bar, I got you, man.
That is awesome. Congratulations. Miguel, and thanks for telling us. Miguel says, I think Denver needs to feed Javonte Williams majority of the game. He was a bowling ball. Jaleel is just way too small. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Sean changes that because Jaleel got more rushing attempts yesterday than Javonte. Brandon says, I'd like to see Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin on the field. They're the only receivers with any speed on offense. And I saw a lot of this into the Toyota chat. What's wild? Those guys had to combine 12 snaps on offense yesterday. And all of those were Marvin Mims. So.
and that's exactly what we expected, too.
Yep, it is. It is. Yep. And then John wraps us up here and says, with a very nice super chat, thank you, John, who says, was anyone else annoyed with how we were just letting them get shoelace tackles on us? Biggest ones that drove me crazy was the Mims return and Greg 1 yard away from a first down. Both let a sorry tackle take him down.
Yeah, I don't know if they had stick 'em on their gloves or something, but it did feel like if they just pinched the shoelace we were going down. Yeah.
Well, Noah Fant was on the other side, so it was a little. They're taking inspiration from him. Okay, that's gonna do it from us today. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Hit us with the thumbs up. We had a lot of people tuning in. We really appreciate the support. Hit us with the thumbs up on the way out, and we will talk to you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Where, man, clearly there's a lot of conversation that needs to continue to happen. Thank you for rolling with us. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.